A little while after Jenny died, Big Forest decided to move to Alaska. This is a conversation between Big Forest and Little Forest.
Daddy, why are we going to Alaska?
See, there's shrimp in Alaska up under the cold water.
Oh.
And up there we can make lots of money. Farming shrimp.
Oh, Daddy, run!
Big Forest also wanted to teach Little Forest how to do hunting and shooting.
Okay, boys, so you want to hold it like this, and you want to grip it good and pull the thing back and cock it. You want to get your gun aimed at sights. You see the deer in the field?
Yeah.
You want to shoot it in the heezy, right in the heezy in the head. Go ahead, try it, boy.
Oh, I got you.
Go ahead.
Can I get closer?
You can get close as you like, son.
Oh!
Good shot, boy.
Thank you, Daddy.
Big Forest wanted to teach Little Forest everything he knew about life, including fishing.
Come on, Forrest.
Oh, Daddy, it's a wild one. Oh, my God.
You caught him. You caught him.
Now that Little Forest and Big Forest were living in Alaska, they were shrimping. But on one day, an unfortunate event happened.
Do you see the shrimp, boy?
Oh, no, Daddy, Lord, take her.
Oh, no. Are you okay, Forrest?
I'm all right, Daddy.
All right.
This should have been the easiest spill in the world to clean up.
It's not only the worst oil spill in U.S. history, it's by far the largest in such a remote, pristine area. The tanker, the Exxon Valdez, had just loaded more than 1 million barrels of Alaskan crude. It was about 25 miles from the Valdez terminal and was apparently trying to dodge ice flows from the nearby Columbia Glacier when it ran aground.
I want to assure everyone that Exxon is mobilizing all available resources to mitigate the impact from this incident. Exxon has assumed full financial responsibility for the incident.
Exxon has come under heavy criticism for not moving more rapidly to clean up the spill.
The crews have not arrived yet to begin cleaning the slime off the island's beaches and rocks. That probably won't happen until next week. Exxon says it cannot do the job in a hasty, haphazard manner.
And there's no doubt this is a major tragedy both for the environment and for the people up there.
Day 10 of the oil spill crisis, and the cleanup effort still just beginning. A few crews are on a few beaches removing a little bit of oil, but there are hundreds of miles of affected coastline. Exxon, which is running the operation, is coming under heavy criticism from state and federal officials.
Where the existing management structure of this cleanup is not adequate to the task, then we're going to do it ourselves, independent of that.
State officials in Alaska have made an accounting of what's happened to the spill, now covering an area of over 3,000 square miles. Exxon has had problems not only with its recovery efforts, but also with the continued leakage of oil from its crippled tanker. Officials say a small amount of oil still seeps from the holes in the ship, and containment booms around the vessel are not stopping it completely.
This is one of the many small armies Exxon has mobilized to wipe up oil-soaked beaches stone by stone. Jay Hare, president of the National Wildlife Federation, watched the work for a while and then just muttered.
I appreciate these folks doing this, but quite frankly, I don't see that it's doing a hell of a lot of good.
Hare calls this futile, and he says oil rubbed into the rocks will take longer to evaporate. He intends to push for a new national energy policy, hoping that a national sense of outrage will add to his political muscle.
After the Exxon Valdez ran aground, Exxon spent $3.8 billion on cleanup, but the crews only scratched the surface.
If you just let the water stand for even just a minute, then the oil blobs will start to show.
Still there 21 years after the spill.
Oh, my God. Son, if you don't tell anyone, I'll give you a spot on Secret Service.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American people. Thank you.
Now that Little Forrest had been in the Secret Service for a while, he was protecting President Obama at his inauguration in 2008.
Thank you. Thank you, America. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
God bless America.
God bless America.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
That I will execute the office of President to the United States faithfully.
That I will execute
faithfully the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States faithfully.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President. All the best wishes.
Many years spent in the Secret Service, he decided to join the military, where President Obama got him onto the Navy SEAL team, where he ended up killing Osama bin Laden.
President Obama broke the news of bin Laden's death to the country in a dramatic late-night speech, ending a mission of almost 10 years. And Jake Tapper is at the White House with the latest details of this top-secret operation over months. Jake, good morning.
Good morning, Diane. That's right. In preparation for this operation, sources tell ABC News that the military recreated a replica of the compound for Navy SEALs to practice this operation. Tensions were high in the White House Situation Room yesterday as those helicopters full of Navy SEALs went to the compound in the middle of the night in Pakistan and ultimately killed Osama bin Laden.
This is what bin Laden's compound looked like after the attack. The president was not 100% certain bin Laden was there. But the Navy SEALs launched the surgical strike and a firefight ensued. 40 minutes of an intense operation and firefight where U.S. forces killed public enemy number one, Osama bin Laden, one of his adult sons, 2 couriers, and a woman used as a shield by one of the male members of al-Qaeda. With 1 U.S. helicopter lost due to mechanical failure, the SEALs carried bin Laden's dead body onto the remaining helicopter and left the compound back to Afghanistan.
The death of bin Laden marks the most significant achievement to date in our nation's effort to defeat al-Qaeda.
At the White House, it was a day fraught with tension. At 1 p.m., all the principal members of the president's national security team convened in the Situation Room. An hour later, the president and his principal advisors carefully reviewed the final preparations, and the mission set out. By 3:50, the president received first word that bin Laden may have been identified. By 7 p.m., the president was told it was indeed bin Laden, and with news that the Navy SEALs were all safe and back in Afghanistan, jubilation, hugs, and relief. It was only 2 days earlier, Friday morning at 8:20 a.m., when the president authorized the operation.
At my direction, the United States launched a targeted operation against that compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan.
And in the streets in front of the White House, celebration.
Osama bin Laden was buried at sea at 2 a.m. Eastern Time in accordance with Islamic law. And Diane, some more information that we're finding out today. This was actually Plan B. Originally in March, President Obama authorized a bombing of the compound by two B-2 stealth bombers, dropping a few dozen 2,000-pound bombs. But President Obama was told that there wouldn't necessarily be any evidence bin Laden had been killed, and so they changed it to this more risky mission.
Since Bill Clinton and Little Forrest were such good old friends, Bill Clinton had one thing to ask of Forrest before he retired back to Alabama.
Son, I'm looking for something in Hillary's emails. Can you look for me? Sure. Ooh, I found something good. Alright, let me delete this.
Potentially damaging cloud is hanging over the White House this morning. CNN has confirmed that Whitewater counsel Kenneth Starr has been granted permission to expand his investigation. He will be looking into new allegations that President Clinton had an affair with a former White House intern and then urged her to lie about it. CNN White House correspondent John King is following the story, and he joins us now from the White House. John?
Well, Donna, what began as a search for evidence in the Paula Jones sexual harassment case has mushroomed into another investigation of the president and his personal conduct. Now, sources tell CNN that independent counsel Kenneth Starr is investigating whether the president and his confidant, Washington lobbyist Merton Jordan, asked a former White House intern to lie about a relationship she says, or at least alleges to have, with the president. Now, at issue is whether the intern had a sexual relationship with the president, something the Jones team wants to prove as part of its sexual harassment case. Sources say Starr is investigating whether Mr. Clinton and Mr. Jordan conspired to encourage the intern to commit perjury, and whether in the process the two men obstructed justice. Now, the Washington Post reports that there are tape recordings of the intern, 24-year-old Monica Lewinsky, talking to another former White House aide, Linda Tripp, in which Lewinsky alleges she had a year-and-a-half-long affair with the president. But Lewinsky has signed a sworn statement now denying any relationship with the president. The White House is referring all questions to Mr. Clinton's personal lawyer, Robert Bennett. He tells CNN, quote, "The president adamantly denies any relationship with this woman, and she has denied it as well. I smell a rat." But Lewinsky's attorney isn't so adamant. He tells the Los Angeles Times, quote, "She signed the declaration and stands on it at this time." But attorney William Ginsburg went on to say, "But I'm smart enough after 30 years as a trial lawyer to know that there's always a surprise around the corner." So the shock here at the White House this morning, the independent counsel investigation that began as the investigation of the Whitewater case in Arkansas, now expanded to include allegations of sexual misconduct by the president in the White House. Donna?
John, you show us how Lewinsky is talking to Linda Tripp. What do we know about Linda Tripp and how she fits into this?
Well, Linda Tripp is a prominent figure in this sexual harassment case filed by Paula Jones. She was a Bush appointee, worked in the White House when Mr. Clinton came to office in 1993. She later gave testimony to the Paula Jones legal team that another former White House aide, a woman by the name of Kathleen Willey, emerged from a meeting with the president flustered. Now, Willey initially refused to cooperate with the Jones legal team, but after they received a subpoena, she has given an affidavit, and sources tell CNN in that affidavit, she alleges that the president, during a meeting just off the Oval Office, at one point kissed her and made improper conducts to her. That testimony affidavit has been filed as well in the Paula Jones case.
Good evening, I'm Martin Savage.
Good evening, I'm Joey Chen, and this is The World Today. First up, bombshell allegations rock the White House. In Washington this evening, supporters of the president are reeling, and his enemies are ready to pounce. CNN senior White House correspondent Wolf Blitzer with charges of sex, lies, and audio tapes.
The president says it's not true.
There is not a sexual relationship, an improper sexual relationship, or any other kind of improper relationship.
You had no sexual relationship with this young woman.
There is not a sexual relationship. That is accurate. I did not ask anyone to tell anything other than the truth.
But it's the most serious legal challenge he's ever faced. At issue, whether Mr. Clinton had a